A deadly overnight crash in University Park. Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone. We will have that story in a moment, but first, we are at the courthouse in Upper Marlboro for a murder trial seen as a case of hate. More than 2 years after the vicious stabbing death of Army Lieutenant Richard Collins on the University of Maryland campus, the trial of accused killer Sean Urbanski has started. Byron Scott was at the courthouse for jury selection.
Jury selection got underway this morning. The judge cleared the courtroom as attorneys interviewed scores of prospective jurors. Richard Collins III was a newly commissioned second lieutenant in the U.S. Army and just days away from graduation at Bowie State University when this man, Sean Urbanski, allegedly approached Collins, telling him to step left before thrusting a knife into his body, killing him. It was May 20, 2017. Collins was on the campus of the University of Maryland celebrating his recent Army commission and upcoming graduation with two other friends, one white, one Asian. Urbanski's attorneys say their client, who was charged with murder and a hate crime, was, quote, out of his mind drunk, unquote, when the incident happened. At issue is whether the stabbing was a planned, racially motivated attack or the work of an intoxicated person who did not act intentionally. Prosecutors say Urbanski was associated with the white supremacy Facebook page. His attorneys deny he's a member of the group. That and the murder will be for a jury to decide. Jury selection continues tomorrow with opening arguments expected on Wednesday. At the courthouse, Byron Scott, CTV News.
Thank you, Byron. Well, former Maryland delegate Justin Ross and his family were awakened early this morning to quite a shock. A woman fleeing police crashes into their University Park home, killing her and injuring one passenger. Officers pulled the vehicle over at the intersection of College Heights Drive and Steed Court about 12:30 a.m. Police say that's when the woman behind the wheel sped off. She lost control of her SUV, went airborne, and hit the brick house, which caused her vehicle to overturn. She was pronounced dead at the scene.
The car hit the house. There had obviously been some sort of chase that it pursued, and we were woken up in the middle of the night to a loud bang, and it was obviously something that's never happened in this community ever. It's pretty traumatic, but frankly, this is a neighborhood where things like this don't typically happen, and I think it's important to be mindful that a lot of kids live in neighborhoods where this happens far more often, and so yes, it's scary for us, but we also need to keep some perspective that wherever stuff like this happens, it's not okay.
And police have not yet released the identity of the woman. Meantime, the other person in the car was transported to the hospital with minor injuries. No one in the Ross home was harmed. Well, Democrats push ahead with articles of impeachment. The House Judiciary Committee convened today to review the findings of the Intelligence Committee's 300-page report against President Trump as the White House and Republicans launch an aggressive attack on Democrats and the proceedings. The impeachment revolves around the July 25th phone call in which Trump asked the president of Ukraine to investigate former Vice President and 2020 presidential candidate Joe Biden and his son Hunter.
Evidence proved that President Trump's conduct sought to undermine our free and fair elections and poses an imminent threat to our national security. And fourth, faced with the revelation of his pressure campaign against Ukraine, President Trump directed an unprecedented effort to obstruct Congress's impeachment inquiry into his conduct.
Very simply, the evidence in the Democrats' impeachment inquiry does not support the conclusion that President Trump abused his power for his own personal political benefit. There is simply no clear evidence that President Trump acted with malicious intent in withholding a meeting or security assistance.
And this hearing sets off a pivotal week as Democrats march toward a full House vote expected by Christmas. Trump and his allies acknowledge that he likely will be impeached in the Democratic-controlled House, but they also expect an acquittal next year in the Senate, where Republicans have the majority. The jury selection began today in the trial of a Montgomery County police officer accused of assaulting a handcuffed suspect last July. The incident involved 32-year-old officer Kevin Morris. In this cell phone video, a man identified as 20-year-old Arnaldo Pessoa is seen laying on his stomach handcuffed. Morris is caught on camera allegedly hitting the suspect in the neck and putting his face on the concrete. The officer then pulls Pesawa's shirt over his face. This all happened outside of a McDonald's in Aspen Hill. Officials say Pesawa had drugs on him at the time of the incident. Morris has been charged with assault and misconduct in office and has been suspended from the police force. A Baltimore County police officer has been charged with rape and assault. 25-year-old officer Anthony Westerman was arrested over the weekend. He has been charged with 2 counts of second-degree rape and 3 counts of second-degree assault, according to court documents. The case involves incidents in October of 2017 and June of this year. Westerman has been suspended without pay. A preliminary hearing is set for January 3rd.